something needs to change. Where was that?
Well, that's another book too. That's another book. So that was the result of that was my first book, which is, and you said a little bit of that, it's about panic attacks and my own journey with panic attacks and anxiety. That was my breaking point. That was what brought me to my knees, and just that was the experience that helped me to reconnect with myself and to make all the changes that I needed to change, to do all the things that I needed to change in my life. So that's when I started to reevaluate my life, started to look for books, talks, anything that I could get my hands on to get out of that dark place, because it's not easy. And then after that, everything changed personally, professionally. The book came out, in my whole career, really. So that was my breaking point in terms of my whole life. In terms of this new book, which is about relationships, I think it was a very also dark. That's why I was saying in the beginning, the dark moments in your life really are a blessing. And it was just a really sad, bad relationship that I had a few years ago, abusive relationship. And that was my breaking point. And also the moment I said, this has to change and I need to find another path.
Right. And you can always tell me to stop, because I always like to like for people that we service here, they come with so many different things. And one of the main ones is relationships. What did you see in that relationship that made you want to tune in and turn into yourself, like go within and find out if you don't want this cycle to continue? What was it? And I mean, you don't have to say names or anything. That's not what it's about. It's all about letting the listeners and viewers know that, guys, you can do this. You can do this. So what was it that you were seeing? Was it a reflection of your past? Was it something that happened, like I said, like when you were a little girl, that now you attracted this? Because a lot of people seem to think, like, I know I had a conversation and someone says sometimes trauma comes when you're a teenager. And yeah, but that trauma still is tied to something that happened way before you were a teenager. But tell me about that. Tell us about it. Like, what did you see in it?
Yeah, it's exactly what you said. It's an accumulation of everything. And I remember just noticing the pattern, because and in the book I go into this a little bit more, but I had this pattern between two types of men that I would go into, like with one, and then I would go into the other extreme, and then in the other side of the spectrum. And so I was just like going from one side to the other. But in this relationship, I think a very important moment for me was when I realized I am recreating my mother's and my grandmother's story. I'm reliving what they lived in a way. Of course, it wasn't the same. I mean, my grandmother had 11 children. I had none. But I know, right? That's part of the whole, the whole thing that is there in my lineage. But I realized, like, okay, I'm them. I am. And I called my mother and I told her that. I'm like, Mom, I just realized that I'm you right now. And that this man is, a part of my dad and my grandfather, and what you live with them and the trauma that you live with. So I'm like, I'm recreating this unconsciously. I'm here creating this. And I said to myself, it has to stop. Like you said, this can't go on generation after generation. It has to stop. And it wasn't easy. It took me 2 years to live that relationship. 2 years. People think, and I was one of them, to say, and I now see it very differently, but I was one to say, I don't understand why women stay there. I don't understand why they can't get their things and just walk away. I mean, it's that easy. I was one of them. until I was in that situation and I realized it's not that easy. It took me 2 years to reconnect with myself, to remember all the tools, everything I had learned, to take my power back. And I didn't do it alone. I have to say that the last thing that helped me was to have support from people outside that
Come on now.
tell me, that started to tell me, this is not okay. What you're living, it's not a healthy relationship, because once you're inside, it's very hard to know. Everything is distorted. It's very weird. It's like you're in this different dimension. And when someone from outside just tells you this is not okay, I think what you're going through is this, it's like, whoa, okay, I thought I was going crazy, but now you're telling me that you see it too. Maybe I'm not so crazy.